What is harder to catch the faster you run? Your breath. Hi everyone, it's Jen, and it's so nice to be with you today. Today's big idea is following Jesus is like running a long distance race. Now, I do not run, and I definitely do not run in races, but there are some times when I'm trying to get to somewhere really quickly. So I want to tell you a story about a concert I went to a few years ago, and I actually won early entry because this concert was all like general admissions. When the doors open, people just run and get to where they can. So I thought I was going to get in front of everybody else. The problem was this early entry like free pass thing was given to about 200 other people. So outside getting ready to go, I really did feel like I was preparing for a race. I made sure that my camera was in this side and my phone was in this side, and I had everything all ready, and I had the right shoes, the right footwear on so that I could get there. And as soon as the doors opened, I took off and I ran like with everything in me. And luckily I was really lucky and was able to get right up on front on the barricade, which is where I wanted to be. This series, we're looking at the New Testament book of Hebrews. Hebrews is such a cool book because it goes back through the Bible and highlights some of the stories of God's special family and how Jesus changes everything in the best way possible. Hebrews is also a pretty cool book because no one knows exactly who wrote it, but it's one of the best written books in the entire Bible. In this series, we're going to look at one chapter in Hebrews in particular, chapter 12. And today, we're going to look at verses 1, 2, and 3. Oh, but first, I need to tell you something. Our big idea, following Jesus, is like running a long distance race, is called a simile. A simile is when you use the words like or as to compare two different things. For example, your eyes are like the brown pebbles of a stream, or your sock smells like an ogre's breath. You get the idea. So when we say following Jesus is like running a long distance race, we're not saying you have to run to follow Jesus, but we're saying that is what following Jesus is like. So let's read together from Hebrews chapter 12. A huge cloud of witnesses is all around us. So let us throw off everything that stands in our way. Let us throw off any sin that holds on to us so tightly, and let us keep on running the race marked out for us. Let us keep looking to Jesus. He is the one who started this journey of faith, and he is the one who completes the journey of faith. He paid no attention to the shame of the cross. He suffered there because of the joy he was looking forward to. Then he sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. He made it through these attacks by sinners. So think about him. Then you won't get tired. You won't lose hope. So let's go back to the beginning. A huge cloud of witnesses is all around us. What does that mean? They are followers of Jesus who have gone before us. If you read the previous chapter of Hebrews, you will see a list of names of people who follow Jesus and love Jesus with all of their heart. And if you look around the room here today, you will see people around you that also love and follow Jesus. They are the great cloud of witnesses today. Next, we are told to throw off anything that stands in our way. For runners, they try not to wear too much bulky clothing because it might slow them down when they run. So it's the same thing with following Jesus, but what could stand in our way? Well, the things that could distract us from following Jesus. So what that is for you might be different than what it is for me. For me, it can often be my cell phone and playing games and getting distracted by stuff on here. For you, it might be video games, or it might even be thinking thoughts that aren't from God. So the writer of Hebrews says to throw off these things. Picture something heavy on your back. That's like your distraction, and to throw it off. And the writer says that includes any sin that might try to hold tightly onto us. So maybe you have a hard time telling the truth or holding on to things that aren't yours. These things get in the way of living God's way, and we need to throw them off. And as we do that, the writer says to keep running the race that's marked out for us. What is this race marked out for us? That's the way of Jesus. God calls us all to treat life like a race where Jesus is the finish line. And Jesus can also be our role model because he ran that race. We may not always be able to see the course so clearly, but we can follow Jesus and also the example of other people around us. In fact, the writer reminds us to keep looking to Jesus. Things may seem blurry around us, but when we focus on Jesus, he shows us the way. Even when things seem difficult, maybe you want to give up, just think about Jesus. Remember all that he did and have hope that you can keep going. So what's in this race? What's on your track? What's going to come before you? That's all part of the excitement of running this race called life with Jesus. The key of it all is to keep your eyes on Jesus. Know him, love him, and follow his example, and keep going. Following Jesus is like running a long distance race. Well, friends, it was so good to be with you. I will see you next time. On your mark, get set, go.
Who are the great cloud of witnesses mentioned in Hebrews 12, verse 1? People who love Jesus? People who live in the clouds? Or people who see clearly? What things distract you from following Jesus? What does the Bible say to do with everything that distracts us from following Jesus? Follow it, forget about it, or throw it off.
Game time! Mad Lab. How many times can you say the key verse before things get gooey? Say it with me. My child, think of the Lord's training as important. Do not lose hope when He corrects you. The Lord trains the one He loves. He corrects everyone He accepts as His child. Hebrews 12, verses 5 and 6. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go!
Can't wait to get on the road again, see some zebras, maybe some elephants too. We're on our way to Western Kenya, which is so exciting. Right now, we're on our way to the Cherangani district of Kenya.
We are on our way to the Transcend Running Academy, where we're going to get to meet some really amazing, incredible, world-class athletes. And so we're coming here, we're gonna try to figure out what makes these guys so amazing at running and why they're the best. And we're also gonna meet some kids who are going to this academy, and they go to this academy because they're gonna try to use their natural abilities of running to try to help them get a better education and a better life. Zebra chasing!
There's a lot of little bushes. Where's the antelopes? Over there?
There.
That's so cool though. I was not expecting that.
I know, we were just driving and then all of a sudden there's zebras.
We still have a very long ride ahead of us. We're not even halfway. It's getting pretty late. The sun is setting, but it makes for some beautiful scenery.
The valley over here looks really pretty because there's rays of sun coming down.
So that'll occupy us for a little while until it gets dark. So we're settling in for a long night. Lee and I are in Western Kenya on our way to visit a small training academy.
That is trying to help a group of youth develop their extraordinary natural ability and give them a chance at becoming world champions.
We want to find out what is giving these youth from rural Africa a chance to succeed.
And see what we can learn from their training.
That was the hardest thing I've ever done.
It's actually sunlight we can see outside.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Tara.
Nice to meet you. I'm Rachel.
And Lee,
Hi, nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
Did you guys have a good sleep?
We
Slept really great.
It was
Yeah?
really
Yeah.
nice after a long car
Slept
ride.
in a little bit.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good
it
to
was
hear.
awesome. This morning we met Tara. She told us a lot about her story, how she started running.
She was a long-distance runner from Canada, and she met Wesley in university, and then they got married and they both ended up moving to Kenya, so that's where she's living right now.
As we toured Wesley's childhood home, we ended up by the river where Wesley used to get his water from and bathe when he was a kid. While we were there, we sat down with Tara, who told us his story growing up.
So Wesley grew up in this area of Kenya called Cherangani, and he was the second oldest of 8 kids. And when he was really young, they were doing okay, but then things got more difficult. He managed to finish primary school with a decent grade and got accepted to St. Joseph's, which is a school in town. But then he had trouble paying school fees. He started running, and he went to visit a coach, and the coach was talking with him and realized that he'd done high school, so he was confused why he hadn't gone on to university, and he said, well, I don't have money. 2 years later, he finally got a scholarship. And then I came a year and a half later. His coach had always thought he'd be a good marathon runner.
You have a good one? Yeah, good.
So when he finished university, he decided to run the marathon. The first marathon he decided to run was Chicago, and he ended up finishing 4th overall. That sort of jump-started his career because he got all this publicity, he found an agent, he found a sponsor, all from that race.
What makes these runners so great?
Definitely genetics plays a role, and just the environment for training is conducive for training, but one thing that seems to be common among a lot of them is that they grew up in a poor background. You know, running is not only physical, it's also mental. To be a good champion, you have to push through pain. Those hardships as a child, maybe that helps them to find an extra strength, and also, you know, that the hardships that they continue to have, the motivation, you know, if they win the race, they can feed their family, their whole life will change.
Question time! What stood out to you about Wesley's story?